economist. So here, Pool looks like he knows how inflation works. So okay, Pool, go ahead and educate 345 Rennie. This is going to be an interesting conversation. Oh, both of them are having a conversation. Okay, minimum wage increase equals higher costs for goods and services for everyone. It's that simple. Okay. All right, 345 Rennie and Pool, you guys take it away. Let me see what else I have there. I know, man, that's why CPI is more active since the minimum wage discussion. Who's CPI? Okay, Charmaine. Brian, I don't know who you are, but good night, Miss Charmaine. Yes, we have the same last name. Actually, my last name, I've said this before, my last name, as far as we know, came out of Jamaica, Chinese Jamaicans. If you guys know Philip Bryan, he used to be a musician. We're related. He's, I think, my mother's first cousin. Miss Andrea Bryan. She's now retired, beautiful Chinese-looking people from Jamaica. Well, they're not from Jamaica, I don't believe. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that. But I do know that the Jamaican Bryans, my great-grandfather, I think, my mother's grandfather, he looks like a coolie, sort of. I have a picture, but I can't show you guys because it's on the phone that I'm using. So Miss Charmaine is saying me too. I don't know for what, but me too. I hope it's not the Me Too movement, Miss Charmaine. They said it would have to be early retirement, which is 55, or you would have to wait till 65. Okay, well, if that's what they told you, Miss Purpose, Child 42, they're the experts over there. That's why I always encourage you guys to call and ask. And if you're not clear, you can always call back. One thing I don't like about pensions is they don't answer their phones too often. They need people there like, now WORC? Oh yeah, I'm going to give WORC a thumbs up here. Director Scott and CBC. Oh my goodness, yes. You know, I know they have people that answers their phones pretty fast. You may be in a queue, but they have people that answers their phones. They're just dedicated to that purpose. Pension, I can't say the same for pension. You can't always get through to pension, and sometimes you can't even get someone that's there in the office because their office is relatively small, I'll say. But they need more dedicated staff to answer the phones. That's what I think. And also people have to be patient when they call. And if you have your pension plan and you know what it is, you can call your pension plan too and ask questions because they know what's going on. You know, let me see who else have a question here. Are there any changes to 8 years? I don't know, ma'am. I'm not sure. Your heart love, I'm not sure what changes you're referring to. Small says, good night, Small. Amish Crown, my final extension got finished today and I submitted my permit on Friday. It is not approved yet. Well, if your permit isn't approved yet, sir, common knowledge is if your permit isn't approved by the time your extension is finished, you should have gone back to get an extension today. And matter of fact, you should have called to see how far your work permit is. And then if it wasn't finalized, then you would have gone back to a CBC, I understand, out at their location and get a further extension. Because generally, my understanding is that once they see a work permit in there for you, they would generally give you a further extension. So if I were you, Amish, I would be there in the morning when their doors are open and rush in to get that further extension. And you never know, your permit might be ready by then. Check your email tonight. You said your permit was submitted on Friday. So it could be approved tomorrow or Thursday, because if you paid for express, I understand it's 3 days. But if your extension expired, you should be at CBC first thing in the morning when their doors open. I think that's 8:30 or 9, because you don't want to overstay. So I just answered you, asked what should you do. Yeah, go there first thing in the morning, Amish, to CBC where you get the extension. And make sure you carry some money to pay for the extension and to show that you can support yourself while on island waiting for the permit. or carry a sponsor. I understand they're asking sponsors to show money now also. So if you go by yourself, have some money to show you can maintain yourself while on island. I think it's like $500 they're asking for. And you'll probably have to pay for your extension. You can take a sponsor with you, but I do believe the sponsors also have to send to show money that they're sponsoring you. Yeah, they're getting serious because people are just cutting too many corners here. With reference to work permit in private sector, I don't know what that is. Delano 345, is there a data law that allows people to know what data employees have on file? Just wondering. I'm not sure I understand that question. Is there a data law that allows people to know what data employers have on file? As far as I'm aware, Delano, by law you have the right, as far as I'm aware, by law you have the right to know if there's anything on there, on your files with government work, but employers aren't necessarily supposed to. Anyway, I would call WORC tomorrow, 949-8344. Call them, block your number, and just randomly ask the question like you're asking here. They won't see your name if you block your number. But as far as I am aware, they're supposed to tell you if there's derogatory information on there. Now, I believe they can use their discretion of whether or not to tell you. I know of people who said they found out by calling or going there. And then I know of people who said they were told they couldn't be told. So maybe the officers have that discretion. And let me see what else here. How long have I been on this thing? I have no clue. I live in domestic worker will get $875 and 2 will deduct for utility. Dedicate for utility. Well, you know, all I can tell people, I have a little sign at the back here, says, but did you document it? I always encourage everyone to have paper and pen and write down every single thing. Write down. I know some of you like to record other people and stuff like that. It's against the law to record people in the Cayman Islands without their consent or permission. But writing things down is not against the law. Documenting things. Some of you, unfortunately, I have to say, I know you are not as educated as some other people. Some may not be able to read and write as best as other people. And if you're not able to, then you can speak into your phone and the microphone that you use to record other people. You can speak into that and say, okay, Miss Bev didn't pay me $2 last week. She short me last week and I worked my full 8 hours. And that will be your way of documenting things. Or you can download a note app and you can speak into the microphone like how you speak into the microphone to send a message on WhatsApp. You guys do it all the time. You can speak into the microphone on those apps that says taking notes, and they will just type out the words for you. Let me tell you something, these phones, you guys don't know how powerful these phones are that you have. If you can't see good or you can't hear good or you can't speak, these phones have all kind of features to help everyone. Okay. Pool. Okay, pool's taking away the moderation. What if you change work permit before January? I can't answer that for you, Aquarius Nats. You have to call Department of Works because I don't want to say what I'm not sure about. Some work permit take 8 months to grant. Well, let me tell you something. You see how many people we have? Almost, I think they said it's almost 90,000 people here now. And the amount of work permits that go into that to the department, it is, ooh, yeah, it's a lot. And a lot of them are fraudulent. They, you know, we heard the minister talk about people bringing people from, especially the Philippines and other places in Africa, and they don't have work for these people. It's not like people just coming from Jamaica. You know, they bring people from halfway across the world and there's no work here for them. they just take their money and put in and have them here. Sometimes they put in these frivolous work permits, and so this is what the government is trying to cut back on. And I saw a video today, the lady was making a video say that basically she was saying what a mess Jamaicans are in now when they realize that they have to marry for love and not just for convenience anymore. But it's not just Jamaicans that are marrying for convenience. There's a lot of other nationalities that are marrying for convenience. You would be surprised. You would be very surprised. So, you know, Jamaicans may have the reputation of of doing it the most, and Caymanians do it too. Caymanians marry people for convenience too, because they have things they want to accomplish too, and they marry people for convenience. So it works both ways, guys. But it's not just Jamaicans. I'm going to be honest. I know of American that I heard marry somebody just wanting to stay in the Cayman Islands because they love the Cayman Islands. So what if you? Okay, I answered that one already. I'm a caregiver and I know my boss is not going to pay $8.75. Well, I'm going to tell you something, ma'am or sir. You don't have a username there, but I can tell you one thing. If your boss have your work permit and they don't pay you $8.75 or work it out how the government says, then that person is going to be in trouble. And if you've done nothing wrong, then you have to call these departments and report that. You know? Unfortunately, that's the only way they can help you is if it's reported. They can't just go out there because somebody said, oh, that person isn't paying Miss Pam her full $8.75. They can't just show up there like that. Miss Pam is the one that has to come and report it, or someone can report it, but they have to have proof, you know, of something. Because the department has so many complaints, I imagine. Okay, let's see what else here. Does $8.75 goes for the tourism industry as well? Yes, it's for every industry. If you are making any less than $8.75 when January the 1st comes, it has to be up to $8.75. That's going to be the minimum. If you're making $6 now, $5.50, $6.75, $7, whatever you're making now, if it's under $8.75, it has to be raised to $8.75 per hour. That will be the law across the board for everyone. Caymanians, non-Caymanians, work permit holders, whoever's working in the Cayman Islands. That's my understanding. Hi, good night. Oh, user, you have a very long name there. I can't even recite all those numbers. Guys, please write properly. If you can't, then send me a voice message inbox. Hello, ma'am. Good evening. God bless you. Wilmer Lab. Thank you so much for that. Do you get overtime for this new minimum wage increase for security guards? Overtime is supposed to be paid to everyone, as far as I know, by the labor law. Unless there's some okay, hold on. Security guards, I found out the other day that there can be special arrangements with security guard companies. So what I would suggest you do is call the Department of Labor and Pensions and ask that question. Block your number and don't give them your name. Tell them you'd rather not give your name if they ask your name, because sometimes they ask your name. And just say you'd rather not give your name, and you have that right, unless you want to find out something specific, or you say I want to file a complaint. Then of course you have to give your name. But I know that there's some different arrangements for security guards and domestic helpers, but still the minimum wage will say $8.75. I don't know how the overtime will go. I'm a caregiver and I make 12 hours a day for $8 an hour. Shamika, wow, I don't know what to say. All I can encourage you to do is call the Department of Labor and Pension. I won't bother to give emails because I know a lot of you will want to be anonymous, so that's why I suggest that you call with your questions to those departments and block your number and just say you'd rather not give your name if you're asked your name. You can just call and say, hey, I have a question, can you just answer this for me? And you just give the question just like how you're giving it here online. And if they ask your name, say you'd rather not give your name, you just want an answer to the question, and you were told that the best place to call is labor and pension. Community flagged comments detected. I go home every weekend. Whoa, well, that's nice that someone can go home. I don't know where home is. Lee Ashibu Tucker question: why would the board refuse a child's amendment if both parents are on an island? I don't know that. I can't say that. That's at their discretion to do that. Not because both parents are on an island, that means that the child has to be here. I mean, we can, unfortunately, I don't mean to sound so cruel, Lee Tucker, but imagine if we had to accept every person and their children, and majority of people that come here on work permits have children. Imagine if we had to accept all those children, or every single person, and then people come here and they have children here. We don't have the accommodations for the people that are here. Now people are homeless on the street, sleeping, piling up. A 2-bedroom will have 5 people staying in there. What those things does, especially people that are living here on work permits, right? They're renting, and if too many people are in one apartment, it is wearing the amenities of the apartment. So it's overuse of the properties, and it causes, and because here in Cayman everything is rented with furniture, you know, landlords that are at a disadvantage too many people are staying in their properties. So the government has to make a decision. If you know you have a child, I'm just saying this from my personal experience, I know you want to come out of your country and come to another country for better advantages, but you have to ensure that you make provisions for your children. You can't expect that you're going to go to someone's. I'm going to be honest, I'm a parent, and you can't expect that just because you migrate to some other country to make a better living economic life for you and your family, that you have to take that your child to in that country has to accept your child. They do not. Every country has their own immigration laws, and they have to be abided by. It's that simple. It may sound heartless, but they have to protect their borders. They have to protect the people of the country and make sure that their needs are being met first and foremost. And I'm a parent. I migrated to the US for school, and you know, I took my kids with me, and it was hard. It was very hard. I didn't have anyone to leave my kids with, and so without telling too much of my story, it was not an easy thing. I went to the States to go to school, and it was not an easy thing. But the US is a much larger place than Cayman. You see, the 3 islands put together can't even make one, probably not even one parish of say Jamaica or Cuba or Haiti. You know, so they have to make. Some people believe that because they're an island, they should have their children here, and sadly that's not the way it works. We cannot simply accommodate everyone. We are actually overpopulated right now. We're actually overpopulated right now. You see that the government is straining to try to find. We don't have enough housing. I wish they would give people some money, incentives, and offer them reduced loans to renovate some of these abandoned homes so they could rent them, if even rooms by rooms. That would be good, because there's a lot of abandoned homes in Cayman that could be renovated, but the banks won't give people any money. They won't lend people money, especially not Caymanians, and a lot of the abandoned homes are owned by Caymanians that their relatives have passed away and passed on to them, and the banks won't lend money because they could renovate and rent these properties. You know, that's another thing. But the board must know why they made that decision. Lee Ashibu Tucker, I am very sorry to say that it was done, but you know, I'm sure they gave reasons. You know, the laws allow them to do certain things, and you know, because people are starting to take legal action. These departments are becoming more what's the word I want to use now? They're becoming more in depth with how they look at these applications and how they process them. And unfortunately, that's just the way it goes. It's heartbreaking to know, but you have to make accommodations for your kids. Many people come here and they expect to stay in Cayman indefinitely, and that's not how it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be a transient place, you know. And there's thousands of people online criticizing Cayman, but what can we do? We're a small jurisdiction compared to where many of you guys come from if you're not Caymanians. And so you have to think reasonable and outside the box. We can't just do nilly-willy what we want 100% of the time. We're under the UK, and there's humanitarian. If you look, if you Google the Constitution of the Cayman Islands and look under the Bill of Rights, you'll see we have humanitarian policies that we have to abide by. So that includes making sure that we have everything in place that can accommodate the population. If that means that we can't accommodate another child, because when that child comes here, that's going to have to go to school if the parent continues to be here, and then that's going to take up resources of the government too, you know. So all those things has to be looked at too when you consider. I know you mightn't think about it. Boy, some of you having some conversations on here. What do you want? What do they want you to do with your child? Sweetheart, I just said what they want you to do with your child. If you know you have a child and you're coming overseas to work and you're a single person, you don't have any family or friends, but then you have to make a hard choice and say, I can't go away and leave my child here. You cannot migrate to someone else's country and expect that country is going to accept your child. It's simply, I'm not trying to sound heartless, but it's simply not smart for you to think that. I'm not saying that you're not smart, but the thinking, you can't go to another person's country and expect that they must accept your child because you're going to say you don't have anyone else to take care of your child. You know, you have to make accommodations, you have to make preparations to ask someone to care for your child. And remember, you're only supposed to be coming here for a short period of time, and that's why the bill. You see, that's why this government is bent on changing these laws, because some people come here and they talk about the Cayman Islands badly, they criticize, they make their videos, but give them 10 more years and they're still here. I know people that came here and they never want to stay Cayman, or I'm sorry for using the Jamaican accent, but a lot of Jamaicans have done it. And now we have so many, over 100 different nationalities, and many people say they don't want to stay in Cayman. But yet 10, 20, 15 years, they're still here. I have heard it. But now the government realizes this government has the courage to do something about it. And you have to accept it. You have to just say, I'm in the Cayman Islands, and this is what they say has to happen. It has to happen. There's no way around it. Now you guys know, be fair now, you cannot jump and get into the United States easy like that. One of the probably easiest places you can get into now may be Canada. But Canada still isn't that easy. You can't get into the UK that easy either. So if you're able to get into Cayman a little easier, just, you know, outside of people treating you inhumane and taking advantage of you, you have to just be thankful that you were allowed an opportunity to come here and take advantage of whatever you can utilize in terms of work and getting paid, and try to help your families back home. You should not come here with an expectation that you're coming and you have a child back there that you have to bring with you. Then you can't come. You cannot expect that. That is simply not sound thinking, I'm sorry to say. Not what they expect you to do with your child, is what they expect that you do with your child. That's a whole different thing. Do you get overtime for this new minimum wage increase? Okay, I think I went on that one already. Listen, Radio Cayman, yes. Almost every week someone is on there talking about this. All the changes with proposed changes, guys. It's not law yet. Okay, I signed for that before. Can I get it? Amish, I can't tell you if you can get a final, more extension after the final. Only the officers at CBC can make that determination. And they generally, my understanding is if they see that a work permit is in there for you, some can give you extra time. They can go to the supervisor and maybe ask for extra time now that a work permit is in there. But some says, you know, and they don't just say, oh, you got to go today because your time is final and your work permit isn't dealt with yet. They'll tell you, okay, well, you have to go get your ticket and start making preparations to go home, and they'll give you a couple of days to do that. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be no whole extension of a week or 2 or 3 or something like that, because that money you use to show them that you can afford to be here while you're waiting for your permit is usually the money they're going to say, okay, go and get your ticket and come back. That's my understanding of how things may happen. Like I said, I don't know that that's what it's going to be. But don't you choose who can report to you, even if they're on a different nationality, ma'am? I don't understand that question, Des. Don't you choose who can report to you, even if they're of a different nationality? I'm not sure I understand that question, Des. Who can report to you? I'm not sure I understand that. I was about to ask this. Okay, Iowa Coleman, I don't know. What is the government doing for an employer who forces employees to sign waivers for no pay for overtime? Well, again, this is something you have to complain to the Department of Labor and Pensions about. If your employer forced you to sign a waiver, then you have to go to the department responsible and get some advice about it. Again, you don't have to give your name, and I would suggest you block your number. But even if you don't block your number, you know, they can't do anything until you formally, they can't do anything. But you know why I tell people to block their number? Because this is Cayman, and Cayman is small. And some way, somehow, something might be heard down the grapevine that _Coleman 3 called Department of Labor and Pension. I don't know who says what, but nobody's supposed to be saying who called where and said what in any department of government, but I've heard that it happened. So that's why I tell people, block your number and don't give your name if you don't have to. Don't know how you have to give your name if you say, okay, I want to come in and file a complaint. Right? They might ask you who the employer is, but you don't have to tell them. Don't be afraid. You do not have to tell them. You know? What is the government? Okay, so we just talked about that. A lot of people looking for job opportunities and not necessarily the locals. Yeah, well, you know, this is Cayman. Everybody wants to come here. The dollar is really good, and our immigration laws are lax. I think no disrespect to any administration. They do what they think is best at the time. But we have some of the most lax, and when I mean lax, like free giving immigration policies that you see in the free world. It's good for our economy, for sure, but now we see what's been happening because of it. Cayman married, took for convenience too. Yes, Pool, I did say that already, that there are Caymanians that marry for convenience too. What is the government doing for employer who force employees to, okay, so we just talked about that. Check Cayman Bay places, they feel untouchable in this island, even with people who don't need a work permit. Okay. Well, I don't know about Cayman Bay feeling that they're untouchable, but I've known that the government have dealt with some very high-profile employers for breaching some of the laws. So I don't know if Cayman Bay is untouchable, but I don't know. Don't you choose? Okay, I didn't understand that question. Government can't do nothing once you sign. I don't know what that means. But then what about house helper? Like I said, guys, I don't have these answers, and some answers, if I had, I wouldn't say, because I don't want anyone to go and misquote me. And that seems to be a very common thing with the general public. They misquote you. and they take your words. I've had someone watch a video on here and write me right behind the video and tell me that I just said XYZ, and I said, that's not what I said. You just watch the video, go back and watch it again, because that's not what I said. But it's all about how we all process information and interpret information. So if we can't remember, we must write things down, you know? Okay, I don't get paid for overtime. Oh wow, Charmaine, I'm sorry to hear that, but that's something else that you need to take up with the Department of Labor and Pension. I don't know what your position is and why you don't get paid for overtime, but by law, overtime is supposed to be paid unless there is a pre-arranged. My understanding of it has to be pre-arranged through the Department of Labor for some categories of occupations. So not just that an employer can say, hey, I want you to sign this to agree not to be paid overtime, and that's just between you and an employer. That's illegal as far as I understand. So you can call them. Yeah, domestic helpers get the same $8.75. It's across the board for everyone, Charmaine. How hard nowadays to change a work permit, like from pest control technician to car wash attendant? Well, Amish, if you're gonna, that's like a whole jump. You have to do a resume to show that you have. I know car wash attendant doesn't sound like it's a big deal, but if you were coming from a pest control technician and you were able to demonstrate that you could qualify for an approval for a work permit for pest control technician, they're going to side-eye you and wonder why you're going from that type of job to this type of job. I don't know if they would approve it, but that's up to you. You can put it in and see. I don't know how hard it is, but I tell you one thing, you're going to get a side-eye. Why not apply for another why not apply for another pest control technician job, Amish? Oh, there. I mean, if you're going from a maintenance person or a laborer or a handyman, that's a whole different thing. Or from a gardener to a landscaper, or, you know, a tree cutter. But really and truly, from pest control technician, now that's a skilled person. Pest control technician is a skilled person, and you would have had to show that you have that skill. So what happened to that skill? Where did it go that you can't apply for another similar job? What they're going to look at that is you just job hopping just to stay on an island. That's what they're going to look at. That's my point of view on that. Don't you choose? Okay, I still don't understand that. I love Cayman. Thank you, James. Glad that you do. Cayman has to protect their island and their people just as other countries. You're absolutely right, Ro. Cayman girl, Cayman Island's best. Yay. Ice flames, true. Appreciate. Okay. What about the people who is on a work permit and has to pay for it themselves? Can something be done? Yes, it can be done, ma'am, but you have to report it. Up top, base, you have to report it. Nothing can be done if you don't report it. And if I mean, you come in agreement with the person too, so you have to be sure that that's what you want to do, because obviously you want the work permit bad enough that you agree to pay for it. So you know, that's a disadvantage that government really has to hold the employer more accountable, and I believe that is the intention, to hold the employer more accountable, because the employer like contractors, I understand, is a little different type of scenario because they can subcontract people out, but I'm still not too sure about that. So I would also call WORC at 949-8344. They do have an 800 number. It's on my page there, one of those videos, because I'm on the phone that I could get that number off, but I have the 8344 memorized and get some information. What can I do if my employer gave me only 1 day off in a week and I work for 6 days but no pay? Oh, Wilmer Lab, they're supposed to pay you for the time that you work. What can you do is report it to the Department of Pension and Labor and Pension. That's what you can do. And if that is your original employer and that's what they're doing, then you have nothing to worry about. They can open a file for you and do an investigation. But you have to take the initiative. It has to be the employee if you feel that you're being treated unfairly. You have to. God bless Miss P. Okay. What can I do? Okay, I just read that. Is there ever going to be a regulated rent board for property? Hey, user, whatever your number is. Let me see if I can recite this. User 304-955 8281-334. I'm going to have to come off this live pretty soon, but I'm loving this. There is going to be a regulated rent control board eventually, once they get the amendments done. It has to be done. Anyway, they have an amendment to the Residential Tenancies Act. So it's now Residential Tenancies Amendment or something like that. And it does include a rent board. And you know, a law was passed some time ago, about 15 years ago. And they just let it sit there. So there is going to be one. They can't just do a regulated rent board for properties just like that. It has to all go through the parliamentary process like everything else. So I think this government is going to be tackling that not too far in the distant future. But it's never an easy fix. Rent control and rent policies is never an easy fix, simply because you have so many different categories of rentals. And we have to make sure that it covers, you know, general rental things. I do believe personally that there is a pushback by a certain market of renters and property owners, and also a pushback between some of these property owners who rent these tenement places that are not in proper condition to be renting to anyone. They should be ashamed of themselves, because a lot of these little tenement places don't owe the banks. So when they should be made, and I think that's going to be a part of the amendments too, is that these places have to be habitable, because it's inhumane. You cannot rent somebody a place and it doesn't have access to a fridge and a stove and a toilet and air conditioning. It must have these necessary amenities: access to a stove, access to a fridge, access to a bathroom, and air conditioning or a fan, and a lock on the door so people can protect their assets and their possessions. And fire extinguishers. There's a lot of things. Trust me, these things are coming. You know, I think this, you know, the last administration worked on it. Last administration worked on it. I have been advocating for landlord and tenant changes since early 2000, before I went away. And I came back and they had passed this land residential tenancies. They changed the name up and they passed this new act in 2009. It had just been sitting there. It was just sitting there. It was passed, but it was not put in force, and so it was just sitting there. And so I've made some suggestions. Anyone in the public, especially if you're a Caymanian person, right? You can go on the legislation.gov.ky website and take down a law that interests you if you see it there, and if you think there should be some recommendations. If it's really old, you know, you can make recommendations if you're a voter, you know, or whatever, and you can make recommendations. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but nothing wrong with doing it. So there is going to be something coming eventually. I think, you know, hopefully in the new year, like in the middle quarter of the new year next year. I don't know what they're planning to do. Nobody tells me anything. I just have to do a lot of reading and researching. Is a caregiver supposed to be making the exact minimum wage? All occupations in the Cayman Islands, all jobs are supposed to be making the minimum wage. If an employer wants to pay you more, that's on them. My boss is not paying my pension and he is taking the money from my pay every month. Oh wow, well if you can prove that movement with the Jamaican and Caymanian flag, report it to the Department of Labor and Pension. Report it to your pension provider, if you know the pension provider. Oh, but you said, has he even signed up for pension? Well, I don't understand, because when they put in a work permit, unless it's a temporary 3-month, they have to provide proof of having a pension plan. So it's on you. It's on you to report it. That's all I can say. Movement, Jamaican and Caymanian flag. You have to. Is that a Caymanian flag? It looks that way. You have to report it. That's the only how anything is going to take place with it. How can I see to it that he paid? You have to report it. You have to report to the Department of Labor and Pension. And if he won't cancel your work permit, well, then that shows guilt. And you just have to try and look for another employer. But you can't be here working and your money doesn't go where it's supposed to go. And then when you're ready to go home, what do you have to transfer? Or what do you have to get when you retire? You know, it's just wrong. And you are the only one who can take the initiative to make that right. So I am afraid that it will be approved tomorrow or not. Well, if it was refused for 3 times saying documents were missing, then obviously somebody isn't putting the right documents there, Amish. They tell you what documents are missing, so who's not sending the right documents? Somebody's not doing something right. They have a checklist. Let me tell you, I'm going to be quite honest. There is a checklist with every work permit application. And if you're not sure, then you have to call Department of Work. The checklist is very easy. I just used it last week. But they can also ask for additional documents. They have that discretion. If they say, okay, I need a little more proof of this X, Y, Z, you have to get it and send it. If you don't send it, of course your work permit is going to keep getting refused. You have to give them what they want. And if you don't, then it's on you. That's your responsibility, or your employer's. And so you can't feel bad because your permit is refused because you're not supplying the proof. This is anywhere you go in the world. You're lucky they allow you to put in another work permit, to be honest with you, because in America, when they reject your application, that's it. You're going to have to pay again all over to put it in and make sure nothing is missing. You know? So Cayman, let me tell you, Cayman is easy. Some of you, I don't know if you've been to the States or the UK or other places, but let me tell you something. Cayman is easy. I say it all the time publicly to the government. This place is too easy. And we're too small for it to be too easy. And some of you honestly have too high expectations. Like we're supposed to do these things. No. You have to understand, the government does not have, and when I say the government, I'm not talking about the politicians. I'm talking about WORC and CBC and the Department of Labor and Pension. They don't have to do anything else but see that the law is followed. When the parliamentarians pass the laws, when the politicians pass the laws, all they have to do is comply with the law. So if they comply with the law, because you guys aren't doing what you're supposed to do, well, you can't blame them. Do what they ask you to do. Well, I don't know if it'll be approved tomorrow or not. Amish, you just have to see. They had to go do the checklist, and if they've asked you for other things that weren't on the checklist, then you have to send it in, sir. I know it's scary, but they give me a contract for 2 years and work for 6 days a week, but I'm in temp permit. Well, if they gave you a contract for 2 years after the temp permit is over, then I guess they're going to apply for a permanent permit. Wilbur and Lab. That's usually how it works. They start you off on a temporary because they need you urgently, they say, you know. And then after that, then And if they give you a contract for 2 years, that's good because they can send that contract in with the permanent work permit. Is there ever gonna, okay, we already read that. I don't get paid. Island, about 3, 4, 5. You don't get paid at all? Nothing? No, that don't sound right to me. You better call Department of Labor and Pension first thing in the morning. Sounds like you're in a work permit. I see you got 3, 4, 5. There's not no 3, 4, 5 around here. It's 3, 4, 5. But if you don't get paid at all, I hope you're not on a work permit, because you need to be calling them as soon as they're open. I don't believe that. That don't make any sense. Yeah, user 304. I have tried to advocate for rent control, but it's, from what I understand, it's not that easy to do that. Cayman is too small. I believe the government could set guidelines, yes, based on the condition of the property and the size of the property. So I hope that is something that they will consider taking, making suggestions of. But oh boy, let me tell you, rent and immigration are two very, very challenging topics to deal with, and I think most of the time governments don't want to deal with those things. Let me see. I think thank you and good night, ma'am. You're welcome, Wilbur Lab. Thank you for the blessing. I do need it. That looks like all the questions, and so guys, I will log off now. I don't know how long I've been on here, but again, please follow, like, and share. And I don't mind questions, but if I point you to departments, you should call those departments. Google is there. gov.ky, you can just go in the search box and put in what department you're looking for. Again, I'll say block your number. You can politely say, I'd rather not give my name, I just have a question I'd like to be answered. And Flo and Digicel can tell you how to block your numbers. And usually you can go into your phone and find it and block numbers like that. Hide your caller ID in your phone. All phones have that. If it's a smartphone, that you can go in and hide your phone number. And then these phone companies have codes that you can do that too. So I would recommend everybody to call Department of Work and have patience. Let me tell you, some of you, I don't understand. I know phone services here in Cayman is very expensive, but I've been trying to encourage the departments to get WhatsApp numbers, right? But if you get a WhatsApp number, you can't hide your ID. You can't hide your number. So even that is fruitless. So you guys have to top up your phones to get the answers to the questions that you want. I know you're already living on minimum wage, a lot of you, but sometimes some of you would rather go out partying and I be at the bars and that sort of thing. I've seen you, a lot of you, and you don't put credit on your phone. So you can't call to ask the questions that you need answering. And I'm not going to tell you a lot of things because I don't want anybody saying that I said this and I said that I didn't say, or that they misunderstood. So put some credit on your phone and call. Put a $5, a $10 and call. Like I said, Work Mutual answers their phones. They have at least, I think, about 3 to 4 people that are dedicated to answering their telephones. Which is wonderful. I never have to wait long there. I don't know of anybody that's ever had to wait too long calling to Work or CBC. CBC has their phone service. A lot of times you have to choose options to get someone live, but still it goes through relatively fast. Once you choose your option, you get through to somebody like that. So put some credit on your phones. Sorry that Cayman doesn't have Wi-Fi calling, because most of these smartphones these days are equipped for Wi-Fi calling, where you don't actually have to have credit on your phone. You can just set your phone to Wi-Fi calling and call whatever number. So maybe Flo and Digicel might want to consider that, but maybe they don't, because you know why? It's a predatory market here with these telecommunication companies. There's no competition, so they're not going to want to introduce that type of service here, which will they charge you for Wi-Fi, they charge you for internet, right? But you still got to buy credit to make a call. When they could offer you Wi-Fi calling, and they're still making money off of you because they're the only two companies on island. Matter of fact, I'll probably write Flo and Digicel about that, but chances are they won't do it because they don't want. They want to make the money, and their customer service stinks. I'm just gonna be point blank with that. Their customer service is not the greatest, and it's getting worse. And it's going to get worse because all they're gonna want to do now is you're gonna have to just go online for everything. Thank God in the States it's not that bad yet, but put some credit on your phones, guys, and call and ask your questions. Have your questions prepared so you can call one lick. As Caymanians like to say, call one lick and have all your questions answered. You know, I will, again, I don't know if I want to do that with getting the laws and then, but let me tell you what's going to happen. I got a surprise for a lot of you coming up. And I don't want to give it away yet. Anyway, everybody, good night. I hope that this has been informative. Again, call Department of Labor and Pensions for all your questions. Call the Department of Work for all of your questions. Go on to gov.ky and go in the search bar if you want to find some of these departments that you're not sure how to find them. You can Google them too, and a lot of times they have contacts in there. If you're not afraid of sending your email address, you can write emails. And I know WORC has a complete website, a complete page that you can be anonymous or you can put your name. They also have dedicated email addresses that you'll see very clearly on their website of where you can send information to or send your questions to. And I've heard that they're pretty responsive with answering questions. Again, the judicial website, if anyone is giving you any problems, if anybody owes you money, if you think a landlord took your... Now listen, I've had some people writing me about landlords taking their deposits, but if you have not given your landlord 1 month's notice that you're going to move and you just up and move, you can't expect your deposit back. It's simply not how it works. People have to advertise their properties and you know, that sort of thing. They have to keep their upkeep of their properties, and some of you leave owing rents and you leave with damages to the place and stuff like that. You have to expect. But if you feel that, I have something up there that the RCIPS, it's on my page, you're gonna have to search down. The RCIPS posted about how to deal with landlords and tenants. Landlord and tenants issues are not criminal, they're civil. So you have to sue someone if you think they took your money, right? If you think the landlord took your deposit and took it for the wrong reasons, and you know you haven't done anything wrong, well, you're gonna have to sue the landlord. And so you can go on the judicial website and look for small claims, and it's only $25. The forms are very easy. There's a little booklet that goes with it. If you're not sure, I do believe in legal clinics, but I wish there was another legal clinic on island. But I also wish that every lawyer that practices in the Cayman Islands, especially in certain legal categories like family law, immigration, landlord and tenant, wills and trusts, all those general, I believe most of these lawyers should do a pro se clinic or offer reduced fees on certain times of the month, or a free 15. You know, actually a lot of these lawyers will offer a little free 10-minute or 15-minute free consultation. You know, like I said, if you feel you want a lawyer, get some legal advice and you can't get into the legal clinics, reach out to me. Let me see if I can find someone who can deal with landlord and tenant or immigration or whatever, and you can call them, and a lot of times those lawyers will just talk to you for 5-10 minutes and answer some of these questions. But that's the way Cayman is going now. Everybody's going to be suing everybody. And the only recourse you have is through a court of law. You know? But check out the judicial website. Spend some time on there. It's not just for people who get convicted of offenses. That's not all it's for. There's a lot of great information on there. And like I said, under legal aid and in the legal aid applications for civil and the legal aid application for criminal, you can find the list of lawyers that does civil and the list of lawyers that does criminal. If you have a hard time finding it, send me an inbox message and I will try to direct you how to find it, because I know a lot of you are just simply lazy, but yet you watch TikTok for hours and Facebook and Instagram, or you post up and you're just lazy. But anyway, I'm gonna log off now. I see some people trying to get in touch with me, and is there a data? Okay, most of these questions I've already answered. Again, like, follow, share, and whatever else you have to do to grow the audience of the page. It has been nice talking to some of you guys. Do not go and misquote me anywhere, okay? If I hear it, I'm gonna come at you. Guys, have a good night. Let me see if I know how to turn this thing off now. Oh my goodness. Oh, live gifts, mirror your video. Okay, pause live. I have no clue how to do this. Let me see if this is it up here. Ooh.